Michael is in Seattle. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Yeah, so I've done the right things my whole life financially. I actually discovered you guys once I was on a really formidable path and kind of in a good place. But being that a lot of the Ramsey values align with how I already felt, I started kind of watching some YouTube videos, whatever.
It's always good to find other people that are right.
Yeah, right. I like confirmation bias as well, so it's great. But so like, long story short, I'm in a position now where I all the big purchases are done and settled down, and I kind of want to treat myself to a second car, a sports car, and it just feels a little wasteful just for the fact that I know that I could do better things with my money, like just even leave it in, an online savings account right now at 4.5%. And, that's still ticking up. Right. So It just feels a little wasteful trying to figure out. I know you
What's
guys
it
do
cost?
this all the time. The car would be like 80 after it's all said and done.
What's your net worth?
About 1.35.
Okay. What's your income?
Last year it was about 440.
Okay.
Get the car. Get the car. Treat yourself.
That's kind of how I feel.
Yes. Come on now.
Okay. Let me tell you what. Let me tell you the thing that Sharon and I do. Okay.
Okay.
Because it was hard for us to, for so many years, being frugal for so many years, it was hard for us to make the transition to enjoy money. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's two things that have enabled us to do some things that feel, in air quotes, wasteful. But really what that means is I'm enjoying some money.
Right.
I've lived like no one else, so now I can live and give like no one else. There's two things that do that. Number one, I look at my generosity. And if I were buying an $80,000 car, I know that in addition to our tithe to our local church, we give way more than that. So if I were buying an $80,000 car, my generosity to wonderful ministries and to help the poor and to help whoever in different ways, whatever struggling group it is that we're trying to help, is way in excess of our enjoyment. Okay, so that's one thing. In other words, am I spending more on me than I am on others?
Okay.
That's one thing that gives me peace about it, and I'm not. Okay. The second thing that gives me peace about it, and this is probably even more important, is I call it the burn it in the middle of the floor test. If you put $80,000 in the middle of the floor and you set fire to it, would your life change? No.
No. Yeah.
So it passes the burn it in the middle of the floor test. Okay. If you put $800,000 in the middle of the floor and burned it, you would.
Oh yeah.
That your life would change.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. So there isn't.
Right.
That's where we are. Or if you have $100,000 to your name and you're going to take $80,000 and burn it, well, it changes your life, right?
Yeah.
So you don't pass the test. You don't pass the burn it in the middle of the floor test. And I never really gave it a name until just now. But I
like that.
I just named the test today. But the point is, am I doing something that tells me I always look at ratios. And the ratio of this car to your net worth and your income is small enough that Jade, without thinking, said, "Buy the car!" Right? And that's past the
right.
past the ratio is so small that you're not doing something dumb.
Yeah.
When you reach a point that it is impacting your life for a luxury item, or your generosity is smaller than your luxury item, then that doesn't pass the test.
Yeah.
So you have earned the right. You need to do this. And as long as our ratios are there, and we do this, Michael, in addition, we do this with our income, because you make a fabulous income. This is a formula we use. I just got one of my Total Money Makeover royalty checks this week, okay? I get them like 4 times a year. I get them quarterly. And so that's like mailbox money, right? So any money like that above what we need to live, I just take that and I apply a formula to it. Number one, the government gets 40%. Number two, my tithe is 10%, so that's 50. That's 50 of it's gone. The other 50, I split among 3 categories: enjoyment, additional generosity beyond the tithe, and investment, additional investment. And so that check is already spent. There's a percentage that's going to go to enjoyment without guilt. Because I'm doing the additional generosity and because I'm being responsible with the investing and, I'm paying my taxes. There's that. But you see what I'm doing? So that same formula or that same philosophy is applied in that formula. Do you feel it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think, the transition to learning how to enjoy is tough for people who have been frugal their whole lives.
It is. It's a new muscle.
You create such a positive association with always saving money that anytime you go to spend, it feels really weird and kind of foreign. And
Michael, that is so true.
Yeah, that's a normal malady of somebody that's got $2 million. That's the first thing. And, the first time I moved from a junk car after bankruptcy into a decent car, I went through this like, this is so dumb because these things go down in value. This is so irresponsible.
Right. Exactly.
And I was buying a 5-year-old Jaguar. It wasn't like I was buying some super expensive car at the time, but my emotions were just, fingernails down a chalkboard because I'm not going to be broke again. I'm not going to be stupid again. I'm not going to go back there and all this stuff in your head, And so, but yeah, that's kind of when I had to get, okay, if I burn this car up, am I okay? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh, so I'm not spending that much, really. Okay, I can afford to do this. I can afford this upgrade. And you can do that with a lot of things, and it'll keep you from doing too much luxury stuff. But
that's so good.
I also think it's better money spent that we don't do a ton of extravagant travel. And I mean, a trip is lighted on fire. Once it's gone, it's gone. You're no longer in the destination. You no longer have the money. And so I always felt like the car, too, although it depreciates, but if you take good care of it and don't drive it a whole ton, if your goals and aspirations or your desires change in a few years, you can probably get out of it with, not too much damage.
But you won't even need to get out of it.
Too.
Hey, I got a 1960 Corvette because I was born in 1960, frame up restoration. And I drive it about 8 times a year. I promise you, if I told my wife we're doing that instead of a trip, I would not own that car. So that rationalization won't work at Ramsey House. I'm just saying, because Sharon's bags are packed to go on a trip. I'm just all the time. So yeah, but both fall in the enjoyment category. Both are okay.
Yeah.
But they're a small percentage of your world.
That's right.
That's where you keep it, and then you don't have any reason to feel guilty, and that helps you to hit the enjoyment button. Buy the car. We didn't even ask him what it was.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. I want to know what kind of car it is.
Oh, yeah.
A Porsche 911? Was it? He told the phone screener. Oh, definitely get that car.